Hello, fellow ex-citizens. Welcome again to another episode. For this one, really, I just want to chat a little bit about, just coming back to say thanks to all of you for reaching out after you saw the commercials of Xity, like our first step into marketing Xity. All along, for the past 1 year, we were still working in stealth mode, basically just doing a little thing in the corner, recording things for posterity, really. Just saying, hey, let's record some of these things, let's document our journey so in the future we can look back and laugh at some of the stupid things we were doing, right? So that's why we created the Xity YouTube channel, really. But after a year, we kind of set some of the foundations to realize Xity, to make things happen. And then we said, look, let's do one commercial video. And you have all responded positively. You are reaching out and calling me and asking me about Xity. So I'm super, super excited about that. So I wanted to come back and say thank you for your response. When I started Xity, I kind of thought about it this way. Like, one, I know this was not just another business, right? I was building this because I had reached to a point where I drew I drew a line in the sand, right? And say, hey, I can't tolerate no more of these things. And what these things are like a lot of things I don't have to tell you. If you're a Liberian, you already know the frustrations from not having the right infrastructure, the poor education system, the challenges in healthcare, the lack of jobs and properly trained workforce. So all of these things were a challenge to Liberia, are a challenge to Liberia. And sitting back and just looking for government to solve these things is not going to take us anywhere, right? And every day you see government failing to perform or to fulfill its fundamental duties and obligations, right? So I sat for a while and said, hey, I need to do something, right? That is why Xity was born, right? And of course, there are other situations where I go back home and I can't find Liberians enjoying the most beautiful scenic areas of their own country, right? So I wanted to solve some of that problem. That's why Xity started. But I had anticipated that this thing was going to be resisted strongly. It was going to be doubted, and people would actually push me down in the gutters and step on me, and just to make sure that this doesn't happen. I anticipated it worse. Well, it's turning out that, okay, some of those anticipations were not totally out of line, because here and there I'm getting some of those kind of vibes, right? But since the commercial went out, I get calls from people from different parts of the world, right? And they will call me and tell me how happy and excited they are to hear about Xity coming from one of their own, right? It's super, 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 super encouraging. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the prospects of Xity. And particularly when the people for whom I'm working, and I worked to basically bring Xity to where it is and to bring it before them, to make it look like something that is realizable, that is presentable to them. And if they gave me such a positive feedback, I'm super excited, because it means the work that we did in the early days of Xity. Xity is, by the way, still in day one. So we're still at our first day of work on Xity. But let's say what we did in the early morning hours, right? Before dawn, what we did in the dark, right? And at dawn, people are seeing that work and coming back and saying, we are proud of you. That in itself makes me feel happy and gives me the fuel to continue to work on Xity. So that is why I wanted to just say thanks to all of you who have called, texted, emailed, WhatsApp messages, and say thank you. We are proud of you for what you are doing. I want to say to you too, thank you for sending those messages, right? Of course, we have to still keep working hard on Xity. So there is nothing that has been accomplished for which to sit and celebrate. But the point here is that all of the negative things that I've gotten in the past and sometimes still continue to come, about from people, it's all basically showing that there are people who will continue to be negative, but more people are positive about building Liberia. And that is a clear signal that I have measured, right? I've measured it and know the size of it. And that in itself is something that I can stand upon and move forward. So I wanted to say thank you guys. And there are other ways we can still continue to do good in Liberia, and I'll talk about that. But before we get to that, if you notice, when I move this way, my camera will move, and I move this way, this camera is tracking me, and I got a new toy, guys. And I hope the volume will be better. In the past videos we've done for Xity, you know, the volume has been terrible. So let me say something that many people don't know about me. Even when I was in academia, when I used to go to give talks, scientific talks, at some point my voice drops very low. I don't know. I have to struggle to keep my voice up. That is something that is part of me. And when I'm doing these videos, you have to understand that doing this type of like publicity video for business is not my thing. I'm really trying hard to really do this. And so when I have the wrong equipment coupled with my terrible voice that drops like that, we've had occasions where the volume of the video was really horrible. And I've been researching ways of like, how do I make that better? What are some of the equipments, the latest equipments that I can use? And I think I got one. And I love this toy. I just got it today. And I said I got to make a video. So probably that's the only reason why I'm talking to you today. However, yeah, so this is another exciting thing for Xity. At least we have a better video tool, right? A vlogging tool. I don't know, like these little things like get me excited. But yeah, hey, I have a new toy and it's fun, it's fancy, I'm enjoying it. Thank you guys for sticking with us during these terrible videos. Hopefully that's a thing of the past now with this new toy. I hope so. My voice will still drop. There is no technology for that yet. I just have to keep reminding myself that, hey, keep your voice up there. You know, people are listening. So that's what I'm going to keep trying to do. But at least the equipment sets now are better. The video tools is better, and etc., right? So super cool. We started this thing with just my mobile phone, guys. So this is a big upgrade, right? From a mobile phone to my laptop, a mixture of laptop and mobile phone and some other small cameras here and there. And just trying to find the right equipment that would do this job, right? Some vlogging tools didn't work well, but I think this one is going to be super cool for us. I think it's working well. So yeah, let's go ahead. So let's go back. So Xity, the response, the overwhelming response. So there's a core group of people, professionals who are really appear like they are leading the way in terms of the number. Like if you look at the distribution of professions among ex-citizens, right? Healthcare is number one, it's topping, right? So let's do the following. Let's start impacting Liberia as ex-citizens collectively, right? In the healthcare sector, it is challenged in Liberia. So I have a friend who's he's a medical doctor in Liberia. Because we didn't talk before this video, I'm not going to name him, but he is super overwhelmed with the number of patients he has to tend to, and he has a lot of nurses, and sometimes the equipment these nurses need to use, right? They don't have the appropriate training for it. My sister-in-law was in Liberia, and I actually hooked both of them up for her to go and visit this my friend who is a medical doctor, for her to just go and spend few hours at his office and just observe what's going on and pay a visit to him. And she came back and she told me, she was like, I have no idea how your friend is surviving this, right? He is super overwhelmed, right? And then she told me stories about the nurses in the office were struggling to be able to use the equipments. They had not been trained to use those equipments, and those are some of the latest equipments for respiratory care, right? Nursing, right? So if you have a lot of equipments, breathing equipments that's supposed to help people, right? And they don't know how to use these equipments, how are they going to actually help the patients, right? So, and that's just one case from respiratory nursing. right? So I imagine if other nurses from different sub-disciplines, right, were to visit this office, like they will find a lot of things that they could help with, right? My sister-in-law came back, she was explaining this story to me, right? So, hey, listen, here's a thought. While we are at it, while we are building Xity, while we are going to build a vibrant healthcare, I know with the number of healthcare professionals, we have biomedical scientists in the group, we have professional nursing in different disciplines of nursing, medical doctors that are ex-citizens that are going to be living in Xity. So those people are super excited about a healthcare center in Xity. And I believe that Xity is going to be one of the top destinations for top quality healthcare in the sub-region, right? If not in the entire Africa, right? Or in the world, right? So I know it's going to happen just because when I see the number of talented healthcare professionals who are working here in the United States in some of the best healthcare institutions that are currently ex-citizens, and then the one that are going to add up, we are going to make Xity a prime, like one of the prime reasons that Xity will be a destination for people will be to get the best healthcare treatment, right? I know that is going to happen. We are going to do that. But in the meantime, while we are working towards that, guys, I think one way we can do is that we can arrange these things. These things can be like Xity, like way of giving back to Liberia while we are building Xity. We can arrange situations where people who are ex-citizens want to go back home for vacation. We can arrange where they can organize this type of little knowledge sharing sessions where they train nurses in Liberia to use certain equipments that they already have. Or if we have ways to make some connections where we can be able to source some medical equipments here and take them and donate them there and do the training, because the situation that my sister-in-law observed is that they have some of the equipments for respiratory care are some of the best equipments you can find. But the nurses there do not know how to use those equipments. So it will not only be about getting like equipments to Liberia, but how do we train the professionals there so that they can deliver health care in the best possible way, utilizing those equipments, those modern equipments. So those are some of the things. If I would go start with maybe just taking an inventory of what they have there, right? The equipments they have there, and then preparing to go and provide training for those, right? Those are things that we can do, right? So I really love for us to think about that. So all of you ex-citizens who are in the healthcare sector of Xity, I know we have our sub-channel where you guys are talking to each other, right? This could be another conversation that we could spark up. We could have a town hall meeting, as I suggested in the healthcare sub-channel. We could start talking about that and arranging some of those things, right? So we could formalize some of the contributions, the small little contributions I'm doing here and there in the healthcare sector, which I do not talk about, but we could formalize that now and say, hey, this is the Xity way of giving back to Liberia, and we could do it collectively by you donating your time, your expertise, your knowledge, right? Sharing that. So let's think about that and let's start doing that. Hey, I'm enjoying this thing, man. Like this, when I tilt my head, tilts this way and that way. It's super cool. I'm loving it, right? It's like, a little boy has a new toy in his hand. Yeah, I know. You can say whatever you want to say, but I'm enjoying this toy. Okay. So that's that. The latter part of this conversation is just going to be about telling you some of the things I'm doing. Like, I don't want to move around too much because this place is actually messy. I've been buying stuff, sourcing some things, right? The electrical devices that we are going to be installing at the XHQ building. And these things, like if I have to buy a bulk of those materials, what I do is I order one sample. And the sample comes here and I inspect it. And if I can test it, I test it before I can buy it in bulk and ship it to the warehouse. Right? And as we accumulate all of those, then we are going to do the shipment at the end of all of the procurement period and then send them to Liberia. And then I'm basically going to be there and then install these things on the XHQ building. And we are done with our XHQ building. Look, this building name is cool. Do you know the British intelligence, they have GCHQ? GCHQ building, I think like that is like the MI6 or MI5 building, right? It's called a GHQ or GCHQ, something like that, right? So when I think about XHQ, right? Xity headquarters building, right? It sounds like that. It's really super cool, but we just have to remember the letters there, right? So cacophonous, but hey, it has to work, right? XHQ sounds cool, so let's stick with it. XHQ building. Anyway, so I'm procuring these things, so this place is actually messy around me. I have a lot of boxes open here and there. I'm testing all of these things, electrical stuffs and things like that. And as they work, now I can order them in bulk, ship them to the warehouse where they are being stored, right? So that's that. We're working a lot. I'll show you some of the things later on that we are buying. By the way, I started buying our cable, our MC cable. Remember we talked about those metal jacket cable, right? Yes. So those cables, I've started buying them. I made a commitment. I told you I was going to update you, and I have started buying our metal cable, right? Those are the ones that, remember, come in those like ring-like jackets, or what we call them the conduits. They are metallic conduits, and you have the THHN wires through them. So that whole cable has already a metal jacket, right? In this case, we are using the aluminum jackets for those things, right? It gives them a little bit of edge in terms of they are a little bit light, but again, they are still very durable and they are still protective against fire hazards, etc., etc. And of course, we talk about some of the components for your electrical boxes that you need to get. Those are the things that I'm buying, one two pieces of to check it, inspect it, and then if I know they meet the quality, then I can ship bulk of them to the warehouse. So we're doing that. So a lot of procurement, a lot of testing work is going on, so that when we are done with our XHQ building, it's going to look super, super fancy, super, super nice, and everybody's going to love it. I think I'm going to love it. That building is finally becoming something that I'm loving. That building has always been ugly to me from day one. Let me confess something today. Yeah, it used to be super, super ugly, but it's getting to look pretty now. They even sent me some videos of some of the latest work they've done in terms of the guys who are doing the putty work inside. Yeah, I think almost finished with all of the inside, except those highly sensitive places where I locked, and they will now work there until I am there. When I return there, we'll do that. But for now, I am here doing a lot of procuring in the US on the East Coast. So hey guys, sooner or later we'll be done with all of the procuring. Actually, not sooner or later. This is going to take months. I know for sure. Some things we are going to be buying, they are going to be actually manufacturing them in China, and some things here in the US we are going to be buying. They are not in stock. We have to buy them, and then they're going to have to work on. They have back orders. Basically, it's going to take months to get some of those things done, and I'm not going to say everything, but when we get those systems set up on XHQ building, like, it's going to be different. The building itself, of course, you've seen it, it looks simple, but the system that the building is going to survive on is going to be different. It's actually going to be one of its kind. Some of the things that I'm buying for that building, like for example, on the side of the electricity, for the solar system that I'm trying to install there, those systems, I'm trying to test them before. Those are very costly things. We are actually taking pioneering steps. Some of those things that the manufacturer, the US manufacturer, is making, we have now found an example of someone installing those things, because we want to see an example. Because, for example, when you, electrical and technical people understand this, when you're installing things like that, you want to make sure you troubleshoot everything. And if someone has already gone through that troubleshooting, they usually make videos or they write some documents and leave and say, hey, watch out for this, little caveat here. When you're installing, here's a little thing you should watch out for. Those are things that I've been searching for from even the experts, and I haven't seen any. So if we are installing that, we'll be some of the pioneers using those things. Of course, the category of products have been tested. We are talking about the inverter, the brain of your entire solar system installation. We are using the Solog inverter, and they have what they call the Solog 30K inverter, which is a 3-phase fully three-phase AC inverter, right? So these things don't cost small money, about 15K. Okay, that's how much hole is going to dig in your pocket. That's just the inverter, is the brain of the thing, and it is not the most expensive thing, the most expensive component of your solar installation, right? It is one of the most expensive ones, but there are things that are there, like the battery system, super expensive, more than that. So guys, we are doing some pioneering thing for the XHQ building, and I'm super excited to share it with you when we are all done with that. But for now, I'm doing the procurement, testing things, being very careful, making sure that I mitigate all of my risks, because once I take those things to Liberia, it's across the ocean. I can't just call and say, hey, manufacturer, or hey, distributor, look, this thing is terrible, come and pick it up and give me a new one. It's not going to work like that. So I have to do my best as much as possible to make sure that those things work. Some of those things I would not be able to test here, like that inverter, which is the brain of the whole system. You remove that inverter, nothing works. Your building can have lights, right? So, however, it's a single point. Because it is a single point of failure, I have to be very careful about it. That is why I'm going with one of the most reliable name in the industry. But this particular category of inverter I'm getting from them is one of their newest product. I trust their name, but because this is a new product, I wanted to see if I can find some sample uses of those inverters in install videos, and I've not seen anything. I've even reached out to some of those super geeky solar techie guys who test all sort of products, and they have some money to do some things here and there. And I reached out to them and they said, no, sorry, buddy, we haven't used that, because normally our installations is usually single phase installations, right? For our off-grid homes, like a lot of these guys are in Texas, they utilize a lot of off-grid solar, but it's usually single phase. And I am trying to do the three phase. So my inverter is going to be the largest inverter that this company produces today. And it's going to be the newest inverter that they have produced at the commercial level. All of their inverters they were producing was for residential. This is their first commercial three-phase inverter. That is what I'm trying to do in Liberia. So that is one way Xity is actually pioneering things. It is pushing the boundary of what is the best quality of things, and where we can push the boundary in terms of the application of technology, not only for Liberia, for the entire world. If we do that installation and we lit up that building, because we utilize our three-phase 30K solar inverter, ask anyone anywhere, we will be one of the pioneering users of that particular 30K inverters. So we're not there yet, but we are marching there. And by the way, something people don't realize, because I'm making that choice, it means all of the other components, right? Like the disconnect box, the panel box, and all of those things, I have to make sure, even the wires, we talked about wires the last time, right? Whether it's 10x3 or 10x4, when you can use 10x2 and 10x3 wires, or 8x2, 8x3. I have to start thinking along the lines and making the decision and say, this is three-phase. The moment I made that decision and say I was going with three-phase, that means all of these components I had to meticulously check and make sure that these are the components that are appropriate for three-phase. Excuse me. And once I set myself on that path, I have already invested in some of the wires and some of those components, those boxes for three-phase installation. There is no more turning back. If I turn back, that means I have to send all of those things back from the warehouse that I've bought, right? That are only compatible with three-phase, right? So I've already taken a path, guys. It's kind of too late for me to change. But it's not like I want to change, but I'm just saying these are the kind of planning complex things. It's full of headache. Like you have to sit down, list everything, size up the system and things like that. And by the way, ask anyone, three-phase installation is more expensive than single-phase installation. So why did we get into this? Well, the idea is to do the best. And once we do these things, these are some of the things we are going to take with us to the Xity residential zone as we are designing the solar farm for the residential zone. Those are the type of top quality choices we are going to make, right? So yeah, Yes, I think I'm done talking. This talk was a little bit geeky. Forget that stuff. Yeah, but yeah, cool. Thank you again, all of you. It means a lot when you call and express how happy and excited you are to hear that we are working on Xity. It is encouraging. As I said when I started on this journey, I didn't anticipate all of these positive responses that I'm getting today. And I'm super, super excited. It gives me more fuel to burn and to push forward for Xity. And with you, I know we are going to accomplish great things, guys. Don't let anyone discourage you. Liberia can still be built. Liberia and Liberians alone can do that. That is the one thing we just need to realize, and everything else will resolve. All of the internal differences will dissolve because we will realize that we are one Liberians and we will do this. It doesn't matter what ethnic group you belong to or what religious group you belong to. We can do this and we can build Liberia. And that is what Xity is about. It is not just another business down the road. It was never built that way. That is why even the investment opportunities in Xity is designed so that it is basically affording everyone the opportunity to basically generate any remuneration that will come out of investing into Xity will be distributed by those who invest. So it is not just something that will be reserved for the privileged few or the few people who got the information earliest, right? No. All you have to do basically is to check out our website, xityafrica.com. Xity is spelled Xity, Africa.com. Hit that into your browser and check out all of the things that we have there. And you can always find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@Xity. Find us there and you'll find all of our videos. Thank you, guys. I'm going to stop talking here now. And yes, I can stop talking with this new thing. Bye-bye, guys. It's good talking to you.